doing?
I'm doing
Glad you
well,
could come
thank
on the
you.
show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So you're the new director at INOVA. What does
I
that
am.
mean?
I've just been here for 7 months, and my role as director, it sort of falls into 3 categories. I set the creative and curatorial direction
Sure.
for the organization, so effectively functioning as the chief curator. I also am lead manager, do a lot of the administrative work. And then the third is that I'm charged with developing a fundraising plan for INOVA.
Great. And you've recently received a Warhol Fellowship.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean, and does that play into what you're going to be doing at INOVA?
Yeah, certainly. They're definitely related. The Warhol Fellowship is, I'm thrilled and I'm so excited to have this opportunity.
Of course, sure.
It's a great honor. It is designed to fund my research travel, specifically for a project that I think will develop into an exhibition or a series of programs in a couple of years after I've gone through this year of research and discovered hopefully many new artists and many new ideas. The topic of my research is into what I'm calling super hybrid practices.
What does that mean?
And so super hybrid is, I don't think it's the best term, and I hope that my research will help
Is
me
it a working term?
find a new way to
Sure.
describe what I'm observing.
Sure.
But it's actually a term that I borrowed from an article written in 2010 by Jörg Heiser in Frieze magazine, in which he was describing a kind of intuitive mixing and of many disciplines and genres in art today.
And you're going to be conducting research. What does that research consist of?
Well, the research is specific to my project. I'm looking at this blending of performance and visual art. So, of course, that's something that's been happening for many, many decades. And but there's been a significant conversation happening in the contemporary performance community about how visual artists are including more and more performance in their work. There's a strong trend over the last decade, I think, as museums and institutions are looking at performance art, and but performance art practiced by visual artists is a very different thing than contemporary performance. And contemporary performance is incorporating more and more visual art elements within that realm. So
and you're interested in sort of the crossover between those two things.
Exactly, yeah,
Sure.
where this territory exists, where these two different art worlds can kind of come together. There's not a critical framework, I think, that could include those worlds. I think, we're seeing some experimentation with that, like in the most recent Whitney Biennial or the Whitney appointing a performance curator. So, so this research, really, to get back to your original question, is I'll be able to go to contemporary performance festivals. Actually, there are 6 trips that I'm planning. 3 are international and 3 are in the U.S., and I'll be able to immerse myself in contemporary performance, seeing artists doing work. Of the performance festivals I've targeted also have a visual art component to it, so they kind of lend themselves to this conversation of, where is this territory? Is there a territory that these two?
So you have an
overlap?
opportunity to travel over the nation or over the world,
Yes.
bring together a bunch of artists and bring that research or potentially those artists back to Milwaukee.
Yeah, possibly.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so you've been in the city for what, 7 months, a couple months?
Yep, since July.
Okay. And so, as the director, you're doing research about what's happening about art in the world. But I think, having a position at INOVA, you also have to have kind of an understanding of what's going on in Milwaukee.
Yes.
And so, does that play a role into, how your research is being directed? And what is your understanding of Milwaukee?
Well, my understanding of Milwaukee is still very formative.
Of course,
But,
it's a first impression.
yeah.
A first impression.
But actually, I'm really excited to bring this research project to my position at INOVA because it's something I've been working on for a couple of years now, actually, and was hoping to do it at my previous organization, but now I think it's going to have a really different feel. There'll be an interesting twist that I can bring to it at INOVA because I think there is a very strong tradition in this community of kind of cross-disciplinary work and interdisciplinary practices that might help me think through or reformulate the kinds of threads I'm seeing when I go out around the world and I'm looking at these artists.
Sure.
I can think about, well, what might resonate with what I understand Milwaukee's artists and how they're practicing. So I really feel that there's an opportunity for great resonance and, incorporating international focus, but also bringing a local perspective to it as well. So
Great. And that, I mean, the scale, I mean, it's really great that you're able to do that. We're really glad to have you on the show, and I'd like to thank you.
thank you.
And if I can get a round of applause for Ms. Sara Krajewski.